What movie made you go, wow, there's still a whole hour to go? Dune Part I. Beautiful, stunning cinematography. Villeneuve is one of my favorite directors, and I'm a sci-fi geek. The story is good, it ticks all the boxes. And it feels 6 hours long, till for a long time. But usually, even with 3-hour movies, if I remember my meds, have a couple lollipops and an intermission halfway through, those are still a thing where I live. I manage well enough. This wasn't the case with Dune. I don't know why. And among my friends I'm the only one who feels like this. So I'm definitely the odd one out. But, yeah. Avatar 1, 2, and 3 when it comes out. Also, the fourth one. Yes. I could just not watch them, but I'm a completionist and my brain makes me finish a series. Hello. Transformers and recent DC. I'm not paying for movie tickets. But once you hit a stream, I'm going to suffer through it. The first couple, Transformers and Bumblebee, were okay. I also liked the Suicide Squads, Harley Quinn, and hard to believe the Justice League Snyder Cut. But that was a COVID-era film edit, and maybe I just liked it because it was COVID time. The 2015 Fantastic Four movie. The villain doesn't even show up until the very end, and the rest of it is the most boring and unnecessary origin story. Somehow they managed to make a 1-hour 40-minute film feel like it was 3 hours. Dishonorable mentions to The Flash and Blue Beetle. Both of those had me cringing so hard 30 minutes in that I'm surprised every projector didn't melt out of sheer embarrassment during the theatrical run. Every single Marvel Avengers movie. 3 hours playtime. That one Doctor Strange movie was entertaining nonetheless, and while the last Batman movie, or one with the vampire guy Edward something, was really good, it was just way too long and once more about the becoming of Batman. Nothing new in the Batcave. That was disappointing. And I've been a massive Batman fan since I could use a remote. Adam West, I Still Love You. I don't remember the name of it. It was the movie about the guy that got stuck in a crevasse and sawed his hand off to escape. Look, it's a compelling story. And I remember thinking a guy stuck in a rock is not a good premise for a movie. One day my friend insisted on seeing it. And I was right. It's not an but Django Unchained clearly ended about 3/4 of the way and just started up again and plodded through a few shootouts for very little reason. I was really confused that it was still going. And don't think anything was added by the extra fights. That just kept on. It got to talking rocks. I thought my bladder might explode. Funnily enough, it's the type of movie I like, but I reckon 45 minutes less would have been better. But who am I to argue with success? No sausage fingers for me. Any of the superhero movies I've seen. I don't mind slow movies, Shawshank, Les Mis, but the superhero movies I've seen are dumb AF, simplistic plots, shallow characters, good guy, bad guy, with tons of visuals to distract. The early Batmans were good. Man, I wish you had asked this a few weeks ago. I was watching some of my buddies' Plex and there 2 or 3 where I couldn't believe it was still going, both because it should have resolved and because it wasn't that fun to watch. Most movies these days, it seems. I remember when people thought the LOTR movies were too long. Now it seems like a common goal for filmmakers to make a 3-hour movie. Too long to be holding your bladder in the theater. Babylon. Such a terrible movie for starters. I remember going to the bathroom around the 90 minutes to our mark and Googled to see how long this dog shit movie was and almost cried when I saw it was 3 hours long. Wolf of Wall Street. JK, that movie was ball to the wall insane and got my attention for even 3 hours. The real answer is The Irishman. We all knew Hoffa was going to die. Just get it done sooner. The Transformers movie with Anthony Hopkins. I took a nap, gave it another 20 minutes, then decided to walk out. My friend, who was also my ride, stayed while I Ubered home. He said I didn't miss much. An infamous one between my friend and I was corn baby corn. We thought everything was wrapping up and I was satisfied with how it was going. Only to realize we were only halfway through the film. Poor things. I unfortunately watched it with my in-laws not knowing anything about it. When I realized there was still an hour left, I pretended to be too sleepy to stay awake and went to bed. A greater number of Bond movies after the end of any bombastic third act set piece. The wrap-up afterwards always felt like a slog as a kid, and I still feel the same way revisiting them. AI, artificial intelligence. First movie I watched where I actually said out loud to myself, on my own, wow, this is just a terrible, they could have ended it. Like 4 times, but no. Even longer. But Rent. When the screen fades for intermission, I thought, well, that was a decent little flick. But then it came back for another couple of hours. Fuck that movie. Pretty much every movie that has come out lately. It's like they feel a need to be 2H30 for some reason. I rewatched Rush Hour the other day, and that was the perfect length. I was watching a movie called The Diamond, and honestly, it felt really long watching it. And I swear I've been watching it for almost 3 to 4 hours, and it's not even close. The Barbie movie. I liked it. But it had enough slow moments once Barbie and the mother-daughter got back to Barbie, and that I kept wishing that they'd speed things up. The latest Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning PT1, I believe. After the train mission, I literally had the thought, thank God this should be wrapping up soon. Nope. Into the Spider-Verse and across the Spider-Verse. How they manage to fit so much stuff into like an hour is mesmerizing. Longest movies I've ever watched all now. The new Godzilla movie was bad. I looked at the time like 10 minutes in and ready to go. And Killers of the Flower Moon. But in a good way, that movie was great. Titanic. The whole last hour is people splashing around in water. A large Diet Coke was not an appropriate choice of beverage that night. Where do you go, Bernadette? It was so fucking boring. I got the movie as a part of my ANC subscription, and even with that it cost too much. The reverse is Sorcerer, where the movie starts after an hour, so you're surprised there's less than an hour of hell jungle adventure. The most recent Hunger Games film. Like that part 3 felt way too long after watching the first 2 parts of the movie. Avengers Endgame, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but I did have to watch it over a couple of days. Mad Max Fury Road. When they turned to go back, I was truly floored. Happy, but astounded there was still more to go. Titanic. There's an entire hour after hitting the iceberg, and you feel every minute of it. Great movie though. John Wick 4, like 30-minute in a packed theater I had to pee. And I sat through the rest of the movie. As it turns out, it's all very much worth it. But it seems wrapped up not even halfway through. Cards and Generals, when the intermission came on my buddy, and I beelined it so quickly for my car. At the end of LOTL1, I thought, wow, there at least another whole film to go, little did I know. Finding Dory. Why do we have to do this thing where the third chapter just won't fucking end? The Star Wars Holiday Movie Special. Before anyone tries, just don't, seriously just don't. Heat. The movie could have ended at 1.5 hours, but it went for another hour. I'm glad it did. Pollock. I could only watch like 20 minutes a day to get through it. It was mind-numbingly dull. Peter Jackson's King Kong. The hour it takes to get to the island. I fall asleep every time. The Hateful Eight. What a crappy movie. I've never understood what people praise it for. The Snyder Cut of Justice League. That shit should have ended about 4 times throughout. Shrek. I watched it as a kid, and I know it's about to end once they got to the castle. Benjamin Button legit fell asleep for a chunk of it whilst at the movie theater. Lincoln. God, that shit was boring, and Lotta Rock. And already. So much gayness. The Tall Blue People ... What was it ... a something ... Avatar. Both of them. Con Girl. But in a holy crap, where does the story go from here kinda way? Avatar, Oppenheimer, Titanic, Lord of the Rings, and Passion of Christ. Dark Knight. Holy shit, was that boring. Don't know why people like it. Most likely Joker the musical. I know I'm going to get dragged to it. The Color Purple original, The Irishman, Killers of the Flower Moon. I definitely remember thinking that watching JFK for the first time. I said, wow, there's still 2 whole hours to go about the postman. Killers of the Flower Moon. Holy shit, I gave up with an hour to go. The Batman, I swear the movie grew longer the more I watched it. Killers of the Flower Moon. Suddenly it was more than an hour left. Everything everywhere all at once. Thought the movie ended LL. Gone with the Wind. I thought it was over at the intermission. Wakanda Forever. But I think it was an hour and a half. The Men Who Stare at Goats. Longest film ever.